The crisp New England air often carries whispers of forgotten tales, but few resonate with the chilling persistence of Maura Murray's vanishing act. She was a bright, athletic UMass Amherst student, a young woman whose future shimmered with promise. Her family, particularly her father, cherished their close-knit bond, a source of unwavering support in her life. Yet, beneath the surface of this seemingly idyllic existence, Maura grappled with underlying personal struggles, pressures from her demanding academic life, and the complexities of burgeoning relationships. These hidden currents would soon converge, pulling her into a mystery that has baffled investigators and haunted a nation for decades. The days leading up to February 9, 2004, were punctuated by a series of increasingly unsettling events. A car accident, seemingly minor, left her vehicle damaged. An emotional late-night phone call with her sister left friends concerned. Then came an alleged credit card fraud incident, adding another layer of disquiet to her already turbulent week. A growing sense of unease settled upon her friends and family, a premonition of something amiss. Suddenly, Maura made a perplexing decision. She informed her professors and employer that she needed to take a week off from school, claiming a family emergency. However, no such emergency existed, a lie that would later fuel endless speculation. With her plan set, Maura embarked on a peculiar journey. She packed her car, withdrawing a significant sum of cash from an ATM. Her next stop was a liquor store, where she purchased an assortment of alcoholic beverages. Leaving cryptic messages and notes in her dorm room, she prepared to drive away from her life in Amherst. The destination remained a secret, known only to her, as she steered her Saturn sedan into the remote, wintry landscape of New Hampshire, a solitary figure disappearing into the vast, snow-laden wilderness. On that fateful evening, February 9th, a bus driver named Butch Atwood was plowing snow on Route 112 in Woodsville, New Hampshire, when he encountered Maura's vehicle. Her car had veered off the road and struck a snowbank. It was a single-car accident, and Maura, despite the damage, appeared calm. Atwood, concerned for her safety, offered his assistance, suggesting he call for help. Maura, however, adamantly refused, insisting she had already called AAA and that everything was under control. Her demeanor, almost too composed for the circumstances, struck Atwood as odd, but he respected her wishes and continued on his route, promising to call the police from his home. Minutes after Atwood's departure, law enforcement arrived at the scene. They found Maura's abandoned car, locked, its windshield cracked, and belongings still inside. The air was still, save for the biting wind, and the only discernible trace of Maura was a set of footprints leading away from the vehicle, disappearing into the fresh snow. She had vanished, seemingly into thin air. The initial confusion quickly escalated into profound fear. Her family was alerted, their immediate concern for her safety turning to dread as the reality of her disappearance set in. The stark realization that Maura had seemingly evaporated from the face of the earth left them reeling, desperate for answers that would not come. What was Maura running from, or perhaps running to? Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. The immediate aftermath plunged the tranquil New Hampshire woods into a maelstrom of activity. Law enforcement launched extensive ground and air searches, utilizing K-9 units to scour the dense forests and frozen terrain surrounding Route 112. Yet, the brutal winter landscape offered no easy answers, only a cold trail that quickly grew frustratingly opaque for the seasoned investigators. Each passing hour without a trace of Maura Murray deepened the family's anguish, transforming their initial fear into a desperate public plea for information. Her father, Fred Murray, his voice heavy with despair, implored anyone with knowledge to come forward, his hope clinging precariously to the possibility of a breakthrough. Early in the investigation, the natural focus fell upon those closest to Maura. Her boyfriend, a significant figure in her life, was questioned extensively, as was her father. However, both were quickly cleared, their alibis solid, their grief palpable. The spotlight then shifted to local residents, some with questionable pasts, whose proximity to the isolated crash site made them fleeting persons of interest. Yet, Despite thorough inquiries, none could be definitively linked to Maura's disappearance. The remote nature of the area, while offering solitude, also presented a baffling paradox. How could someone vanish so completely from such a sparsely populated region, making a quick, undetected escape seem almost impossible? One prominent theory that emerged was the runaway scenario. Maura's recent struggles, academic pressure, relationship issues, and alleged financial difficulties painted a picture of a young woman potentially overwhelmed. The family emergency lie, a stark deception, fueled speculation that she had orchestrated her own disappearance, seeking a new life, a desperate escape from her current circumstances. This possibility, though agonizing, offered a slim, fragile sliver of hope to her family, that she was alive somewhere deliberately out of reach. The emotional impact of grappling with this idea was immense, a constant battle between hope and despair. Conversely, the abduction theory gained considerable traction. The remote location, the vulnerability of a lone woman on a dark, deserted road, presented a chilling canvas for a sinister encounter. Witness accounts, though vague and sometimes contradictory, spoke of a dark truck seen near the scene shortly after Maura's car was discovered. This detail, though unconfirmed, ignited the terrifying fear that she had encountered someone malevolent, a predator lurking in the shadows of the New England night. The thought that she had been forcibly taken, against her will, was a tormenting alternative. Then there was the exposure theory, a brutal reality of the New Hampshire winter. The biting cold, the deep snow, and the unforgiving wilderness posed a grave threat. The possibility of Maura, perhaps disoriented or injured, wandering into the woods and succumbing to hypothermia, getting lost, or falling victim to an unseen accident, was a grim consideration. Despite thorough searches, including extensive K-9 unit sweeps, no remains were ever found, leaving this theory hanging heavy in the frigid air, a silent testament to the unforgiving nature of the environment. As the case remained stubbornly cold, it began to gain traction in the nascent online true crime community. Online sleuths and media outlets, drawn to the perplexing nature of Maura's vanishing, delved into every detail, every rumor. The proliferation of theories, some outlandish, some eerily compelling, created a labyrinth of speculation. Every new lead, every fresh perspective, seemed only to deepen the mystery, offering no clear answers, only more questions. The case of Maura Murray became a digital ghost story, recounted and reanalyzed by countless individuals, each hoping to be the one to finally unravel the tangled web of her disappearance. The years that followed Maura Murray's disappearance etched lines of grief and determination onto the faces of her family. Fred Murray, her father, became a tireless advocate, his relentless pursuit of answers a poignant testament to a parent's unconditional love. He navigated the labyrinthine corridors of law enforcement, tirelessly spoke to media, and walked countless miles through the desolate New Hampshire woods, driven by an unwavering belief that someone, somewhere, held the key to his daughter's fate. The emotional toll on Maura's siblings and friends was immense, a constant ache of uncertainty, a life suspended in the agonizing space between hope and despair. They mirrored Fred's conviction, believing with every fiber of their being that the truth was out there, waiting to be unearthed. The initial fervent investigation, though exhaustive, eventually settled into the frustrating stasis of a cold case. Yet, Maura's story, fueled by its perplexing nature and the family's persistent efforts, periodically sparked renewed interest. Law enforcement, though hampered by the lack of fresh leads, would occasionally revisit the evidence, applying new forensic technologies to old clues, hoping for a breakthrough. Each time, a flicker of hope ignited within the Murray family, only to be extinguished by the familiar refrain of nothing new. This frustrating cycle of anticipation and disappointment became a cruel rhythm in their lives, a constant reminder of the elusive truth. The impact of Maura's vanishing rippled far beyond her immediate family, casting a long, chilling shadow over the small, tight-knit communities nestled within the New Hampshire wilderness. The unsolved mystery left a legacy of fear and suspicion, a constant, unspoken question hanging in the air. Local residents, once accustomed to the quiet isolation of their homes, now lived with the unsettling awareness that a predator, or perhaps a victim of unforeseen circumstances, had vanished within their midst, leaving no trace. The case served as a stark reminder of the vulnerability inherent in solitude, transforming the serene landscape into a place tinged with apprehension. The central questions surrounding Maura's disappearance remain agonizingly unanswered. What was the true purpose of her hurried, secretive trip to New Hampshire? Was it a desperate attempt to escape her life, a calculated move towards a new beginning, or merely a spontaneous, ill-fated getaway? Did she genuinely intend to disappear, meticulously planning her exit from the life she knew, or was her vanishing an unforeseen accident, a tragic consequence of misjudgment or misfortune? And most critically, who, if anyone, was with her or saw her after the crash? The bus driver, Butch Atwood, was the last confirmed person to speak with her, but the minutes and hours that followed remain an impenetrable void, filled only with speculation. The human cost of this enduring unknown is immeasurable. For Fred Murray and the rest of Maura's loved ones, the pain of not knowing transcends mere grief. It is a psychological burden, a life left in perpetual limbo. The absence of a body, the lack of definitive answers prevents the natural process of mourning, trapping them in an agonizing state of suspended animation. Their collective yearning for closure, for a final, undeniable truth, resonates with a profound intensity, a universal plea for an end to their torment. Maura Murray's disappearance stands as a haunting testament to the fragility of life and the maddening elusiveness of truth. Her story, a modern enigma woven into the fabric of the New England wilderness, continues to captivate and perplex. The case remains officially open, a silent plea for answers that, after decades, still refuse to emerge from the shadows. The narrative concludes, not with a tidy resolution, for none has been found, but with the profound and dramatic impact of an enduring mystery, leaving all who encounter it to ponder the fate of Maura Murray, a young woman who vanished into the cold, silent night, leaving behind only questions and an unending echo of her name.